From a spare bedroom that acts as a shrine to the pop culture ephemera I hold dear, this is Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my friend that I asked to do the show with me twice a month, and he just started showing up every single day, my co-host, Will Taylor. On this show, we explore both new and familiar movies to bring you details and discussion about them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves. Today's episode, a reprieve from our typical fare to the lighthearted genre of romantic comedy. A popular novel adapted to film, co-written and starring John Cusack, on the movie High Fidelity. Stay tuned.
You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells. Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Folks, welcome back to Debaser. Will,
Yes.
how you been, brother?
I've been pretty decent, not going to lie. You know what's really funny is when you were talking about the pop culture you hold dear in your room.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I immediately looked at Blastoise there and started thinking about big
man Blastoise.
Big man. Yeah.
I will say this room isn't as bad as like people may be picturing, like a lot of like video podcasts and stuff where there's like a whole wall of Funko Pops
They've got the
behind the
shit
dude.
right out. Mm-hmm.
It's really just like there's like a poster of like Kojima's game studio. There's some Smokey the Bear stuff over there.
Big man Blastoise.
I've got a Blastoise figure, my Cassian Andor figure, my Deku Link, a Mario Odyssey poster that I got like 15 years ago from GameStop. And Majora's Mask, the actual mask up on the wall. Yeah. Just like scattered cool stuff, you know.
To make it a little classy, Salvador Dali.
Oh, yeah. I have my Salvador Dali MoMA poster.
Yeah.
Up here that I custom framed. I think it looks like shit, but you probably don't notice unless you really look at it.
The second thing is if I've been showing up here every single day, which one am I? Am I Jack Black or am I Dick?
Oh shit.
That's a good question, right? I'm Jack Black, aren't I?
You're a bit of a berry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I fucking knew it. It's okay. It's all good. It makes sense.
Okay.
Between the
say
two,
that, and like, please know that like, a lot of people came out of this movie being like, "Damn, Jack Black stole that movie."
Yeah,
you know?
he's funny as hell. Yeah,
he's so fucking funny.
Great. Yeah,
nobody remembers Dick in this movie. Honestly, like the soft-spoken, quiet guy that's always getting made fun of. You know, that ends up dating like Darlene from Roseanne. So, well, folks, you saw it in the title. We're talking High Fidelity today. This film came out March 31st, 2000. God, that feels weird to say.
25 years ago.
It's almost 25 years old.
God damn.
The film was available to rent and buy anywhere on VOD. I watched it on YouTube. It's not on streaming right now, but it does pop up on like Netflix and Hulu here and there. The film stars John Cusack, Jack Black, Todd Luiso, that's Dick.
Okay.
Laura. She is a Danish model.
Yeah, you were
I can't pronounce her name.
Do you want to turn it my way and I can see if I can do it?
Sure. I'll highlight it for you, but I'm going to... My attempt is Iben Hijele. Do you do Danish at all?
Oh, ain't no fucking way.
Yeah, no. This one. Not even. Apologies to the actress that plays Laura in this movie.
You give me any kind of Japanese or Spanish name, I'll fucking nail that shit 100%. But that, no way.
Woof. There are too many L's, too many vowels there.
Jesus.
Anyway, the cast continues. Lisa Bonet and Joan Cusack. The premise is Rob, a record store owner and compulsive list maker, recounts his top 5 breakups, including the one in progress. The film is based on a 1995 book by the same name, which was written by Nick Hornby.
That name sounds so familiar.
Did you see About a Boy?
Yes, I did.
With Hugh Grant. He also wrote that book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's a pretty famous author. He writes a lot of like, I also like About a Boy. That's a really good movie, but High Fidelity like holds a very special place. The film was directed by Stephen Frears. And honestly, this was kind of like a populist movie for him, I guess, because he does a lot of like indie British cinema.
Okay.
And I think the most famous movie he ever directed was The Queen, the Helen Mirren movie about.
I love that movie.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was him.
I didn't know that.
That's like his most popular movie, though.
No shit.
Yeah.
Dude, that movie fucking rules. We, what was it? I think I was either in 7th or 8th grade, and they showed us bits and pieces of The Queen because we were learning about, I guess, British history or whatever. And yeah, I love that movie. That movie
Wow.
rocks. I have not
Didn't
watched
know
that
you had
movie
history with it,
forever.
yeah. The screenplay it's a credit to like a bunch of people, but it's credited to D.V. DeVintis, Steve Pink, John Cusack, and Scott Rosenberg. Now, a lot of these guys also wrote the screenplay for Grosse Pointe Blank, which we're doing.
Oh, that's right. That's the next one.
That's our next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, these two movies have a lot in common. As far as like the production, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
The film, do you have any guesses as to the budget? Because I think you're going to be way off. It shocked me.
It's got to be really low, right? Because it looks like. Hold on. I know you're making a face. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
I didn't make a face.
This is no. This is the assumption, right? So I'm assuming it's low because it looks like it's all been shot on location or on a set. There's like no CGI.
No, there's no action scenes. It's
right.
Yeah.
But now that I feel like I'm being lured into a small price point, I'm going to go ahead and say 20 mil.
Wow, you're closer than I thought you would have been.
What is it?
It's 30.
Oh. On what?
But here's the thing.
Okay.
I think it was music licensing.
Oh,
because there is so much pop music in this, like big music, to the point now where like movies these days don't have this many hit songs in it.
Right.
They have like 3 or 4, and that they're like the focus of the movie. Like Guardians of the Galaxy does.
I was literally about to say Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's when I said earlier, off the pod, I was like, I've been watching a lot of Marvel movies. I've just watched the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're great.
I mean, those are
great.
Cream of the crop.
Yeah, I know.
To be honest, but yeah, but yeah, I think a lot of that went to music licensing because it was just a few years after this movie came out where like, if you wanted to license one of these songs, you're probably talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars,
right?
Because music licensing is insane now, for like huge hit songs from the 70s and 80s, especially. So the film, and it grossed, I skipped that, sorry.
Yeah.
The film grossed $47 million.
Okay. Curious to what the advertising budget was for it.
That's a good point, yeah. But it recouped its money, and I think it did well on VHS and DVD.
Okay.
I owned the DVD as a kid. I know that because we rented different Blockbuster, and even as like a 10 or 11-year-old kid, I liked it so much that we bought the DVD.
I was actually going to ask you, Jared, what age were you when you watched this?
I was easily 10 or 11 because I remember seeing the commercial, and my parents and I were like, we have to see this, and we rented it.
Jared, this is not a Froggen movie for you to watch.
I think that swearing and like one mild sexing being all that's in it. Like, listen, I saw a lot of movies I should not have seen.
Yeah.
My parents were very open to that, I guess. It's weird because good. I saw a lot of movies I shouldn't have too early.
Sure, yeah.
And my parents didn't have too many reservations about it. Or they would be like halfway through it and be like, maybe Jared shouldn't be watching this. And I'm like, well, it's too late. It's already out of the kettle,
Yeah.
But there was one movie in particular, we should cover it one day.
Ooh, what is it?
But it made my dad so mad. He took the VHS out of the player and was like, I cannot believe they're renting this filth. I am getting this out of the house. And he like took it back to Blockbuster the next day. We didn't even finish the film, and I was mad I didn't get to finish it.
What movie was it?
Being John Malkovich.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
No, I'm so sorry for the blowout there.
Okay,
that's my bad. But holy shit, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
They showed that on Comedy Central all the time.
But
I'm sure like
they edited it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The scene in particular that I remember my dad flipping out about was when who's his girlfriend? Is it Charlize?
Dude, I don't know. It's been a very long time since I've watched it.
I'm blanking on who plays John Cusack also in that movie. I just realized, holy shit. But when he takes his girlfriend to go into the tunnel, and she becomes John Malkovich for a minute, and when she comes out, she keeps saying like, I had a penis. That's the scene that incensed my dad. I mean, the rest of the movie upset him already.
Sure.
I think it was just too weird, and then the sex stuff is what really set him off.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that because, like I said, I never watched the film.
Yeah,
so I'd love to actually watch it. But Mad TV did a parody of it. It was like Being Something Else, and me and my brother watched Mad TV all the time. So we would reference that shit all the time.
I can't believe I don't know the sketch you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
It'll probably come to me later, and I'll remember who it was.
You're going to text me at like midnight. It was this!
I always loved how Will Sasso had such a good Fred Durst impersonation that they always did.
So good.
Lots of Limp Bizkit stuff. And
this time, we're going to put the guitarist in a monkey outfit. It's going to be great.
But also, like, he did a Kenny Rogers that wasn't at all Kenny Rogers, but that was kind of the joke.
Yeah.
And then he would host Jackass for some reason.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I love that. That show was so great.
What a good time. Being young and dumb.
I know, right?
Anyway, Let's get to the critic scores. This has a 91% of Rotten Tomatoes.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, dude. I felt very validated finding how beloved this movie is. In his review of High Fidelity, critic Roger Ebert gave the film 4 out of 4 stars, writing, "In its unforced, whimsical, quirky, and obsessive way, High Fidelity is a comedy about real people and real lives. The movie looks like it was easy to make, but it must not have been because movies this wry and likable hardly ever get made. Usually, a clunky plot gets in the way or the filmmakers are afraid to let their characters seem too smart. Watching High Fidelity, I had the feeling I could walk out of the theater and meet the same people on the street, and would want to, which is an even higher compliment."
I think Ebert definitely hit that on the head.
Yeah.
I think that's like that's a better review than what we're going to do.
Listen, there's a reason Ebert was the king.
Yeah.
Like RIP, a real one. That's probably the longest critic quote I've ever read too. Because I thought, and it's the opening paragraph to his review of the film, which is honestly, his whole review is pretty short as far as like film reviews go, but like it was a banger. I was really glad to read it. But meanwhile, film critic Gary Thompson also gave the film a favorable review, saying, "The virtues of High Fidelity are that Rob owns up to his obvious shortcomings and that Cusack's performance has a self-depreciating edge that muffles the pops and scratches of Rob's personality." Over on Letterboxd, user Sarah gave the film 4 stars, writing, "Guy who throws tantrums and gatekeeps music wonders why women don't want to sleep with him for 2 hours."
All right. She was literally in my brain.
Yeah.
God damn.
I will say this before we jump into the whole summary.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
I think it's fine. A lot of people don't like Rob. Like,
I don't.
Reviewers and people on Letterboxd. Yeah. And that's fine because he is shitty. He has a lot of shortcomings like that critic just said. He is a man-child. He has like a stunted adolescence because he's like he admits to in the film, he's constantly got one foot out the door. He's always thinking about other women.
Yeah.
And he's too obsessed with, music really to really focus on his own life. And,
sure. I mean, I'm glad you're heading it off the pass here because like I was going to ask you point blank. I was like, why do you like this movie?
I do. Other than his like those shortcomings, I relate to him very much because I am a huge pop culture nerd.
Yes.
When I was like 17, my romantic life was like this.
Sure, but you were 17. He's supposed to be in his 30s, right?
Yeah. Actually, okay.
I'm
Since
curious,
you asked that, how old do you think he is in this movie?
I think he's like 30. I think like he's straight up
dead 30, like 30 exact.
I think 30 exact. He's what? He's 26, isn't he?
In the book, he's 35.
Oh, okay. He's 35 and he acts like this?
In the book.
Yeah, okay.
In the movie, John Cusack is 34.
Okay, so
like you said, I was similarly so scared that he was going to be like 28, and I was like, I'm going to look up how old he is in this movie because I swear to God, if he's 28 or some shit, I'm going to be so mad. No, he's my exact age. I was very relieved. I was like, okay, good. I feel like not because of like his life is a disaster kind of at this point. Like, yeah, he owns a store, but like he has nothing else together.
Well, yeah, I guess back in the 2000s, you probably could own a store. This is before like,
oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
no kidding. Yeah. No, that seems. He would be a millionaire now that he owns a piece of property in Chicago proper.
Yeah.
And it's a store. Like, dude would be rolling in money. Like, I get that, like, he's so broke, he currently owes his girlfriend $4,000, and it's a big deal in this movie, like.
But still, yeah. I don't know. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, he's been through college and he's had all of these like long-term relationships.
Out, but
sure. But he's been on these long-term relationships. He has to be somewhere in his 30s.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way he's in his 20s, but he acts like a fucking petulant child.
He does. Yeah. He acts like he's in his early 20s at best.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I guess as I was kind of saying, like we have our lives pretty put together. We've been with our partners for quite some time, so I can't relate with this guy.
Yeah.
And while watching this film, like he just fucking angered me to like no end. And yeah, there's like a big growth point, but it's at like the last 10 minutes of the film, and so it's like I've spent at this point an hour and 40 minutes hating this fucking guy, like for being just a boob, you know, like constantly obsessed with his ex-girlfriends, trying to find some sort of solace with them moving on, like what was wrong with him. Even going so far as to when he's recounting his time with one of his ex-girlfriends, admitting that like he was insecure and he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
You know, and like you think like that would be the point where you understand that you have shortcomings and then you grow from them. But no, he gets into this next relationship with the current girl that he breaks up with in this film, and he cheats on her, which causes her to I'm so sorry that we're like jumping but he causes her to get an abortion. He borrows money from her that he still owes, and he's mad that she left him.
That's shocking.
Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you fucking and he even goes to say, was like, yeah, I understand, like this is probably the reason why our relationship fell apart, but you know,
he still wants her back, but he does acknowledge that for those things he is a fucking asshole, and he admits that like he's in the wrong here, but he still wants her back is the thing.
He harasses her and her current boyfriend. Like, it's amazing how much information you could find about another person. Like, even then with like,
it was a little harder. You had to call a specific number and
sure, but
have their name and like half their address ready.
But it's crazy. Like, and spoiler warning, she takes him back. It's so crazy. Like, dog, what the fuck? But that being said, it's got a lot of funny bits in it. And I can kind of
I feel like you're summarizing the movie for me already.
No. I'm just saying my part. I'm just saying my part, you know. But like, I wanted to get that out there and ask you, like, what the fuck do you like about this film? I don't understand it until you get to towards the end and like all kind of wraps together in a bow. But like, what do you like about this movie, Jared? Like, why do you like this movie? Why is this like
I like it first and foremost because it's a comedy.
Okay,
I find it very funny. I love so many of the scenes, and like Rob is. I think I already used the term, but like a man child, you know, like he's obsessed over all of these breakups that were like 10 plus years ago, but like we're reliving it for the first time.
Yes.
You know, and it's funny. Like I'm always quoting when Charlie breaks up with him and he's out in the rain yelling at her through the window going, Charlie, you fucking bitch, let's work it out.
Yeah, that was good.
I always quote that. And also when he starts doing this, my wife just texted me, Rob is a problematic fave. I love my wife.
It's true.
When he first starts calling his exes and he finds out that his first girlfriend
for 6
married,
hours.
The next guy. Yeah. And he goes, Allison married Kevin. And he looks so indignant and like relieved, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I just love that scene so much. Because wouldn't you also feel honored if like you found out the first girl that dumped you married the next guy that she met after you? Because you're like, you know what? Good for you. You know,
I guess. I don't know. I don't think about that like
That's
ever.
True. Yeah.
You know? I don't.
You never ruminate on your exes though. And not in like a fantasy, like what if situation, but like just in a, like, I wonder what they're up to right now. And then like you see them on Facebook and you're like, oh my God, like that's not what I envisioned for you.
No, not really.
Good for you.
I don't.
No,
okay. I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
really.
No, I believe you. I'm not questioning it. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's just like, I wouldn't. He's just so obsessed. He's so insecure.
Yeah, he is.
And it drives me up the fucking
He's
wall.
neurotic. And I saw someone describe this as like a more modern Woody Allen.
Okay.
And like, I hate to agree with that because Woody Allen's a fucking monster.
Yeah, he is.
And like, he needs to be in prison.
Yeah.
But for a different thing than his neuroticism.
Right.
If you want to have trouble sleeping at night, Google, you know, Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Crimes. Yeah. God, I don't even want to get into it. But like, that being said, you know, Woody Allen made some good movies.
Sure.
Just like we're learning a lot about Neil Gaiman right now.
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman wrote a lot of great books and even scripts. Turns out he's a fucking monster, allegedly, if I got to throw that in there, just so he doesn't sue me or some shit. But, you know, people like that can create great works of art. We've never covered a Roman Polanski movie. But
we probably never will.
Yeah. I almost don't want to out of principle. Like, I would never watch another Woody Allen movie again.
Yeah.
But like, before I knew about all that stuff, you know, my wife and I enjoyed his movies.
That's right. I remember us actually having this conversation because I like The Pianist and I had no idea.
Oh, that's Polanski.
Yeah, it's Polanski. I had no idea what he had done and you educated me on that. And then you talked about how you liked not Annie.
And Annie Hall is
That's what,
is the big Woody Allen movie.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, we loved that movie, and then we learned about Woody Allen. Now we can't fucking watch it. It disgusts me.
When he made like 50 movies like that too. Annie Hall is just one of the best ones. But yeah, it was like because there was a while there back when Netflix would like send you DVDs.
Yes,
that was how we caught up on like all these Woody Allen movies. And
okay.
Like, oh wow, these are so great.
Yeah.
And then there was that big expose about because everyone had kind of known about stuff. I guess I think it came out in like the 90s. I was a kid, but like. I knew that he married his like adopted daughter or something, but then there was like a big expose that came out that was like, I think from Mia Farrow. And it was like, here's everything that like she learned about what happened and all this stuff. And it's brutal. It's really devastating. Anyway, okay. I want to push back a little bit on something you just said though.
What's that?
This was a long time ago.
It was 2000. It was 25 years ago. Yeah.
No, when you and I were having the conversation I'm about to reference.
Yeah.
It may have been 10 plus years ago.
It was a while. Yeah, it was a while ago, wasn't it?
No, you don't know what I'm talking about yet.
No.
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
But I remember talking about, I think it was Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
And I was saying like, I remember being like, yeah, but like it's by that guy who like, raped a teenager. And you were like, what, you can't separate the art from the artist, bro? And I was like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
You were definitely of that opinion a long time ago.
I was. And you know what's the thing of it is like, I will still say that The Pianist is a fantastic movie.
No, that's fine. Yeah. Those two things are not,
Yeah, but I can
both things can be true. The person is a monster, but the art they made is good. You know.
But I guess what I'm going to say is like I can still watch it.
I see. Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
What always irks me, and I had a huge argument like 4 years ago with a good friend about this.
The exact same thing.
About basically, it was about R. Kelly.
Okay.
And I was like, I just can't listen to R. Kelly anymore. And he was like, why not? And I was like, because of the crimes.
Yeah.
Like all the shit, he's in prison.
Yeah.
And I just had to like keep explaining this. And he's like, but you should like, it's fine. Like you should be fine to do it. I think the real argument was like, he was like, it's not wrong if I still stream his music. And I was saying, no, because he is getting money from that.
Yeah, he gets enriched.
And you shouldn't do that. Like,
yeah.
Not that like it should be illegal, just that like as a moral principle, you shouldn't do it.
Right.
And he just kept arguing with me. And I got so incensed that I had to like disconnect my microphone because we were playing like a D&D game together.
Oh, yeah.
It just like brought everything to a halt. Like funny. I think his fiance had to walk in the room and be like, you need to stop.
You gotta stop, man. You could say the same thing with Kanye.
Okay, I think my wife really wants to be on this episode.
Oh, just get her in here.
Let me just read this really quick for her. I think Courtney overheard all of this and she texted me, if the artist isn't ingrained in the art, then it's possible to separate. Roman Polanski didn't put himself or center himself in his movies like, say, Woody Allen. It's a good point.
Oh,
like
did Woody Allen? See, here's the thing.
Woody Allen is a star of a lot of his films.
Okay, so Jared, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't think I've seen a Woody Allen movie. I don't think
don't start now.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to. So hey, that's a really good point. I guess maybe that's like the reason why I was of the opinion that I had back then, and I still kind of hold to this day for the most part. Like, for musicians, it's very easy. Holy shit, we are not talking about this movie.
I know this movie, and I've got a lot to say too. We need to roll into it.
How about you do that? But the point is like, I guess with musicians, as your wife just pointed out, that's literally them singing. And I guess for Woody Allen, if he's starring in his movies, then
it's the whole time it's hard to separate. And also, oh my god, so many of Woody Allen's movies are about like he just happens to be dating an underage girl or cheating on his wife. It's fucking crazy.
He's telling on himself pretty hard.
Yeah, it's so bad. And like once you think about it, like even for a second, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
because it happens in Annie Hall. It happens in Whatever Works, the one he made with Larry David. It's so bad. Anyway, we're having this conversation, and I don't think there's any problematic people in this movie. So.
Yeah,
I don't even know. We need to get off this.
I think the reason why we got on is because Rob, the character,
right? He's
up
kind
until
of
a certain point.
This is kind of
problematic.
Well, I think this movie is like it's akin to a Woody Allen movie.
Sure.
In the sense that like it's about a neurotic character.
Gotcha.
Who like has a lot of faults, but you're still not every audience member is kind of, on his side and rooting for him though to succeed.
Wasn't me.
Not Will though.
Okay, not me. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Anyway, let's break into the summary.
Let's go ahead.
So the film opens on our main character, Rob Gordon, played by John Cusack, listening to music. And he addresses the camera because this was a novel, there's a lot of like first person monologuing that he does. So he just addresses the camera.
Oh yeah, he's doing his best Deadpool.
Okay, well,
I'm just fucking around.
Deadpool took that from Woody Allen.
I know. Is that true?
It's a Woody Allen
I didn't
thing,
know that.
Anyway, he breaks the fourth wall and addresses the camera. What came first, the music or the misery? Do I listen to pop music because I'm miserable, or am I miserable because I listen to pop music? There's so many quotes in this movie that I love so much. Anyway, Rob's girlfriend, Laura, played by Iben Hijili, has just broken up with him and is currently in the process of moving out of the apartment. Rob and Laura exchange some terse words, and she leaves. And Rob, feeling introspective, begins reviewing his top breakups of all time.
Like, and because he says, you don't even make my top 5.
Right. So he's attempting to prove either to himself or her that she doesn't make the top 5.
Yeah. Their relationship was unimportant.
Yeah. And number 1 on this list is his first relationship that he had in 7th grade with Allison Wilmore, in which he and a girl made out for 3 afternoons after school.
For 2 hours.
For 2 hours each, before Rockford Files. And on the 4th afternoon, when he went out there to meet her, she was making out with a different boy named Kevin.
Kevin!
Number 2 is Penny, a girl who Rob dated when they were both 16, and Rob broke up with her after several unsuccessful attempts to grope and have sex with her.
This girl breaks my heart.
We'll get into that.
Okay, good.
It's brutal. He just kind of glazes past it. It just bounces right off of him.
There's a lot of things that he does in this movie that like makes me very much dislike him, but
I agree.
The way that he treats her.
And he's so self-centered, it doesn't... Yeah.
Exactly, dude. And it makes me so fucking angry, but continue.
I know. Rewatching this movie as an adult, I was like, yikes. Like a lot of it didn't hit when I was younger as much now. Anyway, so Rob breaks up with her after attempting to have sex with her a bunch of times. And he is devastated days later when he learns that she had sex with another boy at school after only a few dates.
Yeah.
Rob owns a small record store in Chicago called Championship Vinyl. It's not a popular store, but it is known among record collectors as a hidden gem for rare albums. The line he says is like, for original, not re-released, underlined Frank Zappa albums. Rob admittedly despises his clientele, yet understands that he is one of them. Rob has 2 employees that work for him at the store, Dick and Barry, the musical moron twins. Dick, played by Todd Luiso, and Barry, played by Jack Black, in what became his breakout role, essentially, are 2 fellow music snobs that look up to Rob. Rob explains that he hired them to work 3 days a week, but they just started showing up every single day.
That was a good way to tie us into this.
Dick is a soft-spoken and sensitive guy, while Barry is extremely outspoken and abrasive, even combative with customers at times.
Jack Black is putting on his entire Jack Blackness in this movie.
Yeah, he is. I don't even remember his character in the book much, so I don't know how much of it is on the page.
I didn't realize you read the book, too.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, Courtney and I picked it up because we liked the movie so much. Okay. And it's like, this is a very faithful adaptation.
Oh, okay.
Like, and even the writer, like, when he saw the movie, was like, yeah, they moved. So the book is set in London, and he's British.
Oh, okay.
In the movie, they set it in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because, John Cusack wanted to do this, and he's like, well, I'm from Chicago. Let's set it there.
Yeah.
I think the author was worried that the transition was going to be weird, but he's like, no, there's points where I feel like he's just reading straight out of my book to the screen,
That's good.
And like a lot of the quotes are directly lifted from the book. So yeah, there's speaking of Barry's abrasiveness, there's that scene where the guy walks in. Hi, I'm looking for a record for my daughter. It's I just called to say I love you. And he's like,
do you know your daughter?
There's no way she likes that song. Oh, I'm sorry. Is she in a coma?
So good.
I'm sorry. I didn't know it was pick on the middle-aged square guy. Rob returns to his breakup list with number 3, Charlie, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
Meeting in college, Rob was enthralled with Charlie's looks, intellect, and humor, so much so that he was insecure, suffering from imposter syndrome. Charlie eventually leaves Rob for someone else, sending Rob into a depressive spiral wherein he flunks out of college and begins working at a record store, which is how he ended up owning Championship Vinyl. A phone call interrupts Rob's speech about Charlie. He's going on about like, he learned that he has to pull his own weight in a relationship. He's like, I'm not the dumbest guy, but like, I've read a few books. I read, Love in the Time of Cholera, and he's like, I got it. It's about girls, right? He's like, but I have to say, my favorite book is Johnny Cash's autobiography, Cash by Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
But he's basically saying, he's like, I'm a middleweight. I know how to date within my range, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gets a phone call, and it's Laura asking if she can come over and pick up some of her belongings at his apartment while he's at work. Meanwhile, Barry is berating that customer outside about the Stevie Wonder song that he wants. Rob goes out and chastises Barry for the interaction, and Barry mentions Laura, which ignites Rob's temper. And Barry says something he makes fun of the sweater. He's like, Rob, that is a terrible sweater. That's a Cosby sweater. And then Rob starts shaking him. You are not enthralled by...
No, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be like a shitter.
It's fine.
But like, I don't like the guy. And also, like, I'm just so used to fucking Jack Black being Jack Black that
it's true. It was very novel in the year 2000.
I'm
and
sure.
now it's like, yeah, he does this in like 50 movies, you know?
Yeah.
Like, granted, it's very charming in this because it's not the whole movie.
Right.
You know, there's like 4 or 5 scenes.
he's not the protagonist. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I almost think he works better that way, you know?
Probably.
Yeah. So Rob revisits his breakup list and hits number 4, Sarah. Sarah was Rob's rebound after Charlie. Both Rob and Sarah were suffering after a major breakup, and they took solace in each other until Sarah found a new boyfriend, much to the chagrin of Rob. Rob is invited by Dick to a concert that night of a local musician, Marie DeSalle, who's played by Lisa Bonet. Mm-hmm. Do you know who that is?
I don't, but she looks so familiar. Who is that?
She played Denise on The Cosby Show.
Okay, never watched The Cosby Show.
One of the kids? Okay. Yeah. She was also married to Lenny Kravitz.
That might be where I know her from.
And then after they broke up, she married Jason Momoa.
That's exactly who I know her from.
She is the mother of Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah. Of Batman fame.
Yeah, she's Catwoman. She's a lot of things.
She's got a movie coming out. That last year. She did the movie last year, right?
Talking about Blink Twice.
Yes.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Her and Channing Tatum just broke up, I heard.
Oh, they were dating? I didn't even know.
Yeah. They were actually a couple, which I thought was really cool. And but then I found out they just broke up, too.
That's a bummer.
But yeah.
He was great in Deadpool and Wolverine.
So fun thing about Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
They remade this movie into a TV show on Hulu a few years ago.
Oh, are you fucking serious?
And they gender swapped Rob.
That's fucking right. Oh, you two were talking about that.
Yeah, and I was trying not
and
to
then you stopped.
reveal it to you.
That's right.
Zoe Kravitz plays Rob in the TV show.
No fucking shit.
Isn't that so cool?
That
and her mom was in this movie.
Yeah.
Isn't that so cool?
What is this on?
It's on Hulu. It's a Hulu original.
Dude, I'm going to go fucking watch it. Like when I get home, I'm not even shitting you guys. I'll probably have binged watched this whole fucking thing.
I still haven't seen it. And Courtney did. And she's like, Jared, you have to watch it.
I think it's not to be weird.
Yeah.
But I think that...
Are you about to say something weird?
Yeah, I'm about to be super weird here. No. So, I'm sorry. Rob kind of strikes me as a...
I wonder how this will hit you with it being gender swapped.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. It's more interesting because, unfortunately, Rob strikes me as your... I don't want to use the word incel because he's not, because he's clearly dating and whatnot. But
he wants to have sex all the time. Yeah. And he does have sex way more than someone of his disposition probably should. But
yeah, but like it's so uninteresting because this is not, I'm not saying that his character is uninteresting, but what I'm getting at is like his character is a dime a dozen, kind of loser guy. Like he's just a insecure, self-centered, as you say, dude, right? And you don't get too much of that of female protagonists in media. I can't like even really come up with one where the whole plot is around a woman who is either like a loser or self-centered, or I don't even know what Zoe Kravitz's like performance is in this film or show, but I'm going to assume
I can't speak to it either. Yeah. But I'm assuming it's, from what I know, without having seen it, it's fairly faithful. It just feels like a modernized version of this.
Yeah.
And she is also like going through a bad breakup and revisiting her 5 like top exes, basically. Yeah. So it's like, it's the same premise essentially. Gotcha. But John Cusack was an attractive man in his time. Yeah. Still is. But
my wife would argue with you, but that's,
I know.
Yeah. So I like him.
I know you and your wife don't have a high opinion of him.
No. Shut the fuck up. I do like John Cusack. Okay. I do like him. I like him in the movies that I see.
Yeah.
It just, this character, I did not jive with.
That's why I wonder if Zoe Kravitz's character is about approximately the same. How is that going to strike you?
I don't know. We'll have to find out in a couple of weeks when I've been binge watched the show.
I bet you're not going to be so predisposed to,
but it's because it's different.
How different?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
Just the fact of the gender swap.
I find it more interesting.
No, I do think it is more interesting.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, because we too often get these stories told from the man's point of view.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was saying.
But I'm very excited to watch it.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, we're not covering that today.
No, we are not.
I'm very happy that I dropped that on you.
Hell yeah, dude. I remember there being discourse about this, but I did not remember what movie it was. And clearly I've never seen this movie, so I didn't fucking care.
Yeah.
But I'm interested now. Yeah. I'm way interested now.
I did see a clip where instead of so it's the scene where Barry chastises that guy for wanting that Stevie Wonder song.
Yeah.
They, instead of Stevie Wonder, it's Michael Jackson. And they don't want to sell a Michael Jackson album because
Michael obviously.
Jackson.
Yeah.
And Zoe Kravitz's character Rob is like, yeah, I can't sell you that. I'm sorry. We just, as principal, we can't sell Michael Jackson. But my thing is why would they even stock it? You know,
if it's old and rare.
Yeah, if they already had it, I guess. Yeah. I feel and I want to say, I love Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
And I feel like this film isn't taking a stance because Jack Black's character goes on a thing about that song is bad, but Stevie Wonder is not bad. He just made a lot of crappy pop songs
Schlock
after
music,
his great period in the 70s.
Yeah.
Is his argument in the film.
Yeah.
I still like it. I think, you give me a Stevie Wonder song, I'm going to tell you it's danceable. It's lovely. It's probably one of the best pop songs ever written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like the film is at odds with that because it ends on a Stevie Wonder song.
Yeah. I think that's supposed to be kind of masterful writing.
Right. I think the film is kind of toying with these guys are snobs, but they're not right about everything. They're kind of assholes, is the thing. Yeah. Not everything that they say is
do as I say, not as I do.
Truth.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry.
No, don't apologize.
Okay.
This is the podcast. This is what we do. We talk about it. So back to the movie.
Yeah.
So Rob is getting ready to go to that Marie DeSalle concert, who I mentioned is played by Lisa Bonet.
Mm-hmm.
But before leaving, Rob receives a phone call from his mom, who he informs that he and Laura have broken up. So Rob's mother becomes upset, and they start to argue. Rob's mom claims that Laura was keeping his life together and implies that Laura left because Rob wouldn't marry her. And Rob protests and says, she's not that kind of girl, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, and he hangs up very angrily. And
his mom doesn't have
Shut
the whole...
up, Mom. Damn, that's some cold shit.
Yeah, that was good. His mom doesn't have the whole picture, though, I think.
Yeah, but she's still right.
No, she is, yeah.
Yeah, she knows her son. It was deleted from the movie, but his dad is in a deleted scene, and he was played by Harold Ramis, R.I.P.
Harold Ramis.
Ghostbusters.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Egon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's spot on. Holy shit. That's a great cast, actually.
Yeah. His son makes the new Ghostbusters in that new Saturday Night Live movie.
Oh, I did want to watch that Saturday Night Live movie, but you're let's not.
I think he's a hack. Anyway,
you think he's a hack? I don't really like the Ghostbuster films, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. The last two,
yeah.
Rob attends Marie DeSalle's concert with Dick and Barry, and the trio fawn over Marie and fantasize about dating a musician. The next morning, Laura arrives at Rob's apartment to collect her things and is met by Rob, who has taken the morning off to confront her. Rob berates her with questions about why they broke up and is humbled when Laura tells him that they were both unhappy in the relationship and that while he thinks she hates her job, she actually loves it. Later at the record store, Rob, Dick, and Barry and their friend Lewis discuss obscure song preferences while a timid record collector pesters Barry for a rare Captain Beefheart record.
Oh, I love that. Hey, do you have this record? Yeah, but I decided I didn't want to sell it to you.
Yeah, he goes through the motions of pulling it down. Then he's like, how much do you want for it? And he's like, let me see it. Yeah, I can't sell this to you this week. And he's like, no, that's what you said last time.
That was a fucking great bit.
I know.
Because the guy reminded me of who's the really tall, goofy looking guy on Whitest Kids You Know? The tallest one?
Trevor?
Not Trevor. No, this guy was the tallest of all.
Yeah.
Anyways, they look like brothers separated through time.
Yeah. I thought it was Bob Odenkirk plays a nerdy guy on Wayne's World 2, and it looks just like this guy.
Oh, no
and I was digging through IMDb trying to figure out who this was. I couldn't find him.
Yeah, it was cracking me up.
Yeah, but so Lewis then scolds him, and he's like, "Hold on, let me buy that record." And he goes, he's like, "How much?" "I'll give you 40 for it." And they're like, "Yeah, fine." And he's like, "Now, why'd you sell it to me and not to him?" And he's like, "Because you're not a geek, Lewis." And he's like,
Sam Brown.
No kidding. No idea who that guy is.
Yeah, he was on What Is Kid You Know? He's the tallest one.
Oh! I thought you meant the actual guy.
No. This is the guy he looks like to me.
Okay. But yeah, Lewis and if you ever hear our extended theme, I have this part clipped in to it. But Lewis says, you guys are just taking it out on people because you feel like unappreciated scholars that shit on people who know less than you, which is most of your clientele. And the three of them go, "No, yeah." Rob goes into the back and calls his sister, Liz, who's played by his actual sister, Joan Cusack.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. They play brother and sister in a lot of movies.
I didn't know that.
You know Joan Cusack from Addams Family Values. She's Uncle Fester's new wife in that.
Oh, man, I haven't watched. Like Haley watches it all the time.
It's so good,
and I forget to watch it.
It's an incredible movie. I love Addams Family Values.
Yeah,
it's so good. She's incredible in that movie, though. Anyway, Liz explains that she's a neutral party to Rob and Laura's breakup and wants to be a sympathetic ear to both of them. And then suddenly, two eventful things happen at once. Number one, Liz mentions that she doesn't think much of this Ian guy, while Dick barges into the back room to inform Rob that Marie DeSalle has just entered the record store. So Rob quickly gets off the phone and approaches Marie DeSalle and greets her. And then after an awkward exchange, Rob, clearly distracted, slinks away to the back office to scream, "What fucking Ian guy?" and starts ripping down posters and shit, and then storms home. And he starts to put together that the only Ian Laura could possibly know is his former upstairs neighbor, a middle-aged hippie played by Tim Robbins. The guy from Shawshank Redemption.
That's who that was. God damn it.
Dude.
Okay, hold on. So no shit, when they showed his face, I was like, where the fuck do I know this guy?
Okay.
With the ponytail just threw me so hard.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Funny you say that. Okay. Tim Robbins was in a lot of like really big movies in the 90s, right? He was like a big time, like
Shawshank Redemption and
Dead Man Walking,
Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
There's the Coen Brothers and Evil Dead Sam Raimi movie that he did. Damn, I can't remember the name of it, but it's really good. It's kind of a controversial, like Coen Brothers wrote it and Sam Raimi directed it. Mm-hmm. I really like it though. Hudsucker Proxy.
I've never seen that.
Crazy movie. Anyway, Tim Robbins, great actor. He was in a lot of really big stuff, and then just kind of like soft retired. And he only shows up every once in a while.
Yeah.
In like small roles that you would not like. Tim Robbins is doing this, He shows up in the Tenacious D movie. Do you remember that?
No.
He's the creepy guy in the bathroom stall. And I think he did that movie because he's buds with Jack Black.
No, I had no idea.
Because he was in this movie with Jack Black.
the Pick of Destiny in fucking forever.
Oh, okay. Well, he's like this weirdo guy in a bathroom stall for like 5 seconds in that movie. But anyway, he just does right. This and Anchorman, he apparently has, he agreed to do small roles in because they agreed to make him an expensive wig that he could keep after production wrapped. So yeah, he kept that ponytail wig.
Oh my fucking
apparently he likes to repurpose them for Halloween costumes and stuff.
You're kidding me.
No, this is
so
real.
Funny.
Well, he said this in an interview, so he may have been pulling a Robert Pattinson and just goofing on him. But
I wish I could be a silly little man like
I know,
people.
right?
God damn it. I have to work.
Anyway, Rob recalls that he and Laura would overhear this Ian guy having sex for extended periods from their apartment in the past, and panics at the thought of Ian and Laura now having sex. No one is having better sex than you are in my head.
That's right.
Such a good line.
It's so good.
Rob then addresses number 5 on his top 5 breakups and admits that relationship that he initially had in mind had no effect on him whatsoever, and admits that Laura is his 5th top breakup.
Mm-hmm.
The next day at work, Rob is mellowing in his depression as Liz enters, and the two enthusiastically greet each other. Then Liz immediately ends her greeting by screaming at Rob that he is a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And storms out. Rob just gives a wry smile. And later that night, while sitting alone at a bar, Rob addresses the audience and informs us that he met Laura at the happiest time in his life. He was DJing bars, which was the best job he ever had, and had a chance encounter with Laura, which began their relationship. Rob explains that Laura didn't make him miserable or anxious or ill at ease. It was just good. And Rob then explains why Liz may have called him an asshole, stating that Liz likely met with Laura and learned at least 2, maybe even all 4, of the following key pieces of information.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Rob slept with someone else, and worse, while Laura was pregnant. Number 2, this led to Laura getting an abortion. Number 3, Rob borrowed $4,000 some odd from Laura and has not, as of yet, paid any of it back. And number 4, shortly before Laura broke up with him, Rob said he was looking around for someone else.
He's such a piece of shit.
As Rob relays this information,
he tries to defend himself and justify his actions.
Let's get into that. So Rob relays this information, and then we see, at the same time as he's explaining to the audience, we see Liz and Laura having their actual interaction, and Rob is right on the money. She says all 4 of these things. Mm-hmm. I love Liz, like John Cusack's reaction. She's like, no, that's shocking. And she like stands up to go run off and scream at him, and Laura's like, hey, sit down. But and Rob, looks dead in the camera and says, I am a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But he does explain. And I don't think he's trying to weasel out of this, but I think he provides context for some of it.
Sure, but
it's all bad.
It feels, hold on.
Yeah.
I understand being in the wrong and wanting to defend yourself, wanting to explain your mindset.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. But and so he's like, oh well, yeah, I did cheat on her, but I didn't know she was pregnant at the time, and so she did the whole abortion thing without really talking to me about it.
Yeah.
And then
he only found out after the fact.
And then he like is like, don't you think I should have had a say in it? Like,
no, he says,
right?
I had a moment where I got into the self-righteous, like, well, it's my child too kind of thing.
Yes.
He's like, it was very ill-advised and stupid. He admits that it was
sure.
bad. Like he tells us it in passing, and he's like, it was stupid.
I remember him saying that, but also like I was at this point in time, Jared, I was going in and out of falling asleep. I had no
you were fading in and out of consciousness.
I had no idea that this movie was 2 hours long, and I started this motherfucker at 10 p.m. So it was my bad. That's on me. But yeah, I remember at this point in the movie, I was like getting so fucking mad at this guy. I was like, why am I staying up and watching this?
This is the point of the movie and in the book too, where you're supposed to be like, oh, this is why Laura left him. Of course, we didn't get the other side of the story, Mm-hmm. And I really like that this movie does that shoe drop, because if it does it too early, you're not going to like it.
Right.
It wants to lure you in slowly,
of course,
and make you think that like,
I'm not saying
and be on his side.
I'm not saying this is a badly directed film, because it's not.
Yeah.
And like, I think that I wish that there was an example of something that happened in the first half of the film. Like someone was wearing a shirt that was very referential to what was happening on the screen, but like it was in passing and whatnot. And I remember being like, oh, that's a really smart choice. There's a lot of really smart choices that
is it when they're listening to Ian have sex upstairs. If you look, Laura's book that she's reading is How to Love Thy Neighbor.
Oh, that's one of them. It wasn't that. It was a shirt. No, I didn't. But that's the thing, is what I'm getting at is there's a lot of really clever decisions that the director took that I appreciate. This movie is very well directed. It's just Rob is a piece of shit. I can't fucking stand him. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, I do like when it jumps to the next scene, when Rob tries to explain himself. It does feel like the camera is pulling away from him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like actually further apart. And I feel like it's because he's chasing after the camera to be like, wait.
Hold on.
Let me explain kind of thing, without stating it, like literally making it, text, making the subtext text. So anyway, Rob explains that Laura loaned him the money on her own will. She wanted to loan him the money. And when we get a scene of him like kind of saying like, no, I don't want it. And she's writing him the check and handing it over anyway. He didn't ask for the money, and he has been unable to pay her back because he still has not recovered his finances. And I do like his line where he's like, her leaving me for Ian doesn't make me $4,000 richer,
Yeah.
Rob defends that he said he was looking for someone else by explaining that Laura tricked him into admitting this.
Yeah.
During a very serious discussion about their relationship. Rob says that Laura admitted to occasionally fantasizing herself about other people, and asked if he agreed that he does this as well. And he now believes that this was Laura absolving herself of guilt for wanting to leave him for Ian. And Rob claims that this was a sneaky lawyer trick of hers because she's smarter than him. I do like that he admits that she's smarter than him. At least he's not that arrogant, kind of way. Rob then explains that he didn't know that Laura was pregnant until after the abortion, and he only learned about it after he cracked a joke, which upset her. But yeah, he goes on to say that, like, I went through a bout where I was like, hey, what about my child kind of too? And he's like, it was very stupid, unwise, I'm glad he just breezes through that because boy, are there whole movies about that shit. Jesus Christ. Rob begins to wonder why he is doomed to be rejected. So he calls his first girlfriend's house, Allison from 7th grade. So Allison's mother answers the phone and Rob asks to speak to her, but she's like, oh, she's not here. But she moved out and married, her first boyfriend from school, Kevin. And Rob corrects her and states that before Allison dated Kevin, she and Rob were together. And Allison's mother refuses to agree to this information despite Rob's adamant protest and politely hangs up on him. However, Rob still feels vindicated that Allison essentially found her soulmate immediately after dumping him and decides to call the rest of his exes.
He's such a fucking clown for this one.
Rob explains that the act will give both him and the woman closure and will be romantic like a Bruce Springsteen song, while having a fantasy discussion with the real Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Bob Dylan, but they couldn't get him.
Yeah.
But Bruce Springsteen agreed to do it. Like, honestly, an equally big pull.
Yeah.
But I will say in Bruce's defense, he says, it'll make you feel better, not them.
Yeah. But he doesn't care. He's self-centered.
Yeah, exactly. So Rob meets up with Penny, his old high school girlfriend.
This girl breaks my heart.
I know. Who is now a movie reviewer. And they go on a very pleasant date. Unfortunately, Rob eagerly launches into explaining his breakup with Laura and states that all of his exes wanted to sleep with someone else other than him, including Penny, and that he is doomed. Penny, incensed by this, tells Rob that actually he broke up with her for not wanting to have sex yet, even though they were only 16, and she wanted to at least wait until college. Additionally, she only had sex with the other boy from school afterwards because she was too sad and too tired to fight off his advances. Penny storms off after yelling at Rob, and Rob realizes she was right, but quickly moves on.
Can we stop?
Absolutely. Let's talk about this because it is
this one makes
brutal.
me so
it hits
sad.
a lot different now than I think it did in 2000 for anybody too.
Gotcha. So yeah, as a fresh viewer, you could tell that when they reconnected, she was very excited to talk with him. Like they were hitting it off and having good chemistry. And he's too in his own shit, head up his own ass to realize that he could just maybe try things out with her again. And instead, no.
I don't think he's interested in that. But
sure,
but
he's more how you say he's more interested in getting out his feelings and working his shit out,
getting his own closure,
and not caring about how it makes her feel. And she goes from having a really good time to this, like, what you did to me was horrid. Yeah, and
he doesn't seem apologetic about it at all.
No,
either.
And it had a ripple effect where and like, is this going up on YouTube?
The video?
This.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, she more or less says, like, I didn't say no, so it's not technically getting
the R word.
But
you don't want to say it for censorship reasons. Yeah.
But
okay, I understand.
It more or less was. And that's so sad. And he does not give a fuck.
No,
and
it hits. It's rough.
Yeah.
And he just glances right off at him.
Yeah.
And I do wonder how the remake handles this, because I feel like
I'm actually curious too. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet this has a whole different context now.
Yeah.
Like, as it should.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying, like, oh, well, modern sensibilities.
No.
Like, no, it is like watching this as an adult now. I'm just like, holy fuck.
Yeah. And he's supposed to be in his 30s too, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this was I already didn't like the guy, and this one like cemented it.
This is one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
This made me
easily,
so angry.
And like,
legitimately.
Maybe the right thing isn't to just like chase her down and apologize, but he's clearly just so self-centered about it and doesn't even take a moment to reflect and feel sorry about it, and like, wow, I kind of
they literally hit a check please joke.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I know.
I did not like this.
Yeah.
But that's that. It is what it is. The guy had to do whatever he got to do to get his closure and whatever.
The scene does serve to show that he's the asshole, though.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah.
I don't think it's the movie necessarily. It would, honestly, it should have handled it differently, obviously.
Right.
But
it's the 2000s, and
you are supposed to take away from it that
he's not a good
dickhead.
person.
You know, because she had a very dramatic, but understandable reaction to him asking this question and storms off. And it just doesn't really seem to affect him that much. And that's what's upsetting.
Because he got his closure. He got what he needed.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I broke up with you. Okay. And he just moves on.
He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But that is the whole thing. That's what this movie's about, though, too.
Yeah, I know.
You know, he can only do a little bit of growing. He's not going to become a saint by the end of this movie.
I know. Still.
But yeah, that is one of those things where I'm most interested to see how the remake handles something like that.
Yeah,
but
same,
obviously being
actually.
gender switched, like,
how do you?
The politics of that are different.
Well,
anyway,
hold on. No, I could actually see exactly. And let me make a prediction before I see the show. If it's the roles reversed, then I'm willing to bet that the boy that she dates at 16, unless they make her bisexual,
I'm pretty sure she's bi. I think she has more female exes than male. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say, if it was a guy, then it could be a kid who was like really into his faith and no sex before marriage kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And her pressuring him to do that. And then that like that pressure builds up to him like caving on his own morals. And then that like fucks up his life later on. I think that's like the most interesting route. Unless it is like a bisexual thing. Like it was both mine and this girl's first like girl on girl relationship. And I realized that I was being predatory in this situation, and so but I don't expect her character to be self-reflective until towards the end of this series, so I don't really know. But my guess is if it's the same situation but roles reversed, it's the boy trying to have strong morals, strong religious morals, and caving on it after the fact. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So we'll find out if I'm right.
Yeah. Check us in next month when we cover all 10 episodes of the High Fidelity TV show. Man, yeah, that scene, it's rough. So Rob moves on, unfortunately, quite quickly, to contact Sarah, number 4 on his breakup list, and finds her a bit desperate and not in a good place. Rob, perhaps a little too proudly, politely ends the date without acknowledging her advances and goes home to call Charlie, only to leave a message on her voicemail. The Sarah scene is a little weird because of like how desperate she's coming off.
I don't remember it.
It's quick. They go to a diner and she's like very into him.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah.
Like wants to get back together.
Yeah.
You can sense. She mentions that like she just lost her job and she's like on some medication that isn't working.
Yeah. Okay, I remember this now. Yeah.
It's kind of sad. Yeah. And then as he leaves her at the door and says goodbye and walks away, and he starts addressing the camera, and he's like, I could have ended up having sex back there. And she's still standing in the doorway, like looking at him, you know. And it's just like, dude, he's a little too proud about it.
He's so fucking scummy.
Yeah. So the next day at the record store, the place is packed with customers, and each of the 3 employees are impressing different customers with their particular well of knowledge. Dick is even wooing a girl, Anna, played by Sarah Gilbert, who you know as Darlene from Roseanne. Mm-hmm. Rob arrogantly claims that he will now sell 3 copies of the Beta Band's LP. He puts Dry the Rain on the store's speakers, and all seems right in the store. One customer even compliments the song, to which Rob replies, I know. I love this scene so much, and they play it on my favorite radio station a lot as like an interstitial.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it's great. That and the when the girl comes up to the counter and she goes, do you have soul? And he just sits there smoking a cigarette, looking really sad, and he goes, that all depends.
Yeah.
And he takes a beat and goes, back aisle next to the jazz.
That was a good one.
As this is happening, though, Rob notices out of the corner of his eye that there are 2 teenage boys slipping records under their shirts. Mm-hmm. Rob and Barry leap to attention and chase the 2 boys out and down the street, and they get them to hand over the merchandise in exchange for the skateboard that they left behind. But Rob is surprised by their taste in music and notices that they also attempted to steal home recording equipment.
Oh, that's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Nice little breadcrumb there.
Comes a thing later.
Yeah.
I like how he's like, what, are you stealing from other people? And he's like, that's so bigoted of you. Who are you to say what we can and can't listen to? That night, Laura approaches Rob and admits that she feels terrible for breaking up with him. And Rob pesters Laura into admitting that they still have a chance of getting back together. and into divulging the extent of her relationship with Ian.
Yeah, we sleep together, but we haven't made love.
He is particularly fixated on if they have had sex yet, to which she replies, not yet. Feeling triumphant, Rob agrees to leave his apartment so Laura can collect some more of her things. And then he sleeps with Marie DeSalle.
Yeah, I know, dude. Like,
I know.
You're can't have sex,
to be mad
but I
about
can
this.
have sex.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. So Rob, like, and it does like a flash forward, flashback thing where he like looks up from the pillow when he's in bed next to Marie, and he's like, "Okay, I know what you're thinking. How did I become the number one lover boy in his own postal zip code?" So he explains that after he left Laura that night, he met up with Marie at a bar and they hit it off, discussing films and music and their recent exes before having sex. After he and Marie go their separate ways the next morning, Rob begins fixating on Laura's statement, "I haven't slept with him yet."
Yes.
Rob pesters Laura over the phone to agree to have dinner with him. And immediately after sitting down at the restaurant that night, Rob asks if Laura and Ian have slept together. And Laura admits that they have now. Rob storms out.
Like a petulant child.
Yeah. Runs home in the rain and then looks up Ian's home address.
Oh my God.
And then sits outside Ian's apartment, calling repeatedly from a payphone outside. And yes, it is the year 2000. There were payphones. If you don't know what that is, Google it.
You should slip in that Maroon 5 I'm on a payphone trying to call home song.
I do not know that
you
song.
Should it's awful. And it's 100% what this is about.
This is kind of a John Cusack thing where he's in the rain,
outside
sadly
doing
calling an
something?
ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking,
He's got a thing, you know.
he does have a thing.
But anyway, he's calling over and over and over, trying to
And
get her to
harassing
answer.
them.
and harassing. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Because he's not calling to say like, "Please come back, baby." He's like, what are you just experimenting, huh? You're leaving me for him just to see what it's like, you know, kind of shit. He meets up with his sister later, who says, like, "You have to stop being a psycho. You are creating a unit, okay? Because at first there was just the three of you in a mess, and now you're creating the two of them versus you."
You idiot.
Very
You
good
absolute
point.
fucking clown.
Yeah. But she also asks him to examine why it is that he wants Laura back so badly, which really causes him to like pause and reflect, I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think all this time he's just doing it instinctively because he feels hurt. But he hasn't really actually examined, you know, why is he so upset about this? You know, does he actually want her back and why, kind of thing? Because he never really talks about that until later here.
Yeah.
So the next day, Rob receives a phone call from Charlie, who is lively, funny, and intellectual as ever. She remarks that some of her exes have been calling for closure and introspection and asks if Rob is going through this phase as well, which he denies.
He says, "No, I'm not doing that."
And she invites him to a dinner party. I do love where he's like, "So do you have kids like everybody else?" And she goes, "Oh, no, that's kids are just so, what's the phrase, too time consuming." And I like that he just puts the phone down and he's like, "This is how she talks. I swear to God, it's as if no one in the history of the universe has ever talked about having kids before." Okay, so Rob gets off the phone and exits the back room to find Ian waiting for him in the record store.
That's right. Yeah.
Ian explains that he wants to settle things with Rob and wishes for him to stop bothering him and Laura. Rob then has several fantasies, which each progressively more violent than the last, in which Rob tells off Ian. The last one ends in...
Them crushing his head with a...
Well, I believe Dick opens by punching him with a telephone,
Yes.
knocking teeth out.
Yeah. And he's on the ground bleeding.
And then Barry jumps over and they all start kicking him on the ground. And then Barry goes and grabs an air conditioner and
the
throws
AC
it on his
smashes
face.
the head. Yeah.
It's so fun. Get your patchouli stink out of my store. So back in reality, though, Ian says goodbye and leaves the store. And we cut to Rob just giving him a cold, dead stare. So that night at the dinner party with Charlie, Rob remarks that Charlie's friends are all rich and smart, but realizes he doesn't actually feel that intimidated by them anymore. He also feels that he now sees through Charlie's bullshit, believing that she's full of shit and has no sense of humor. After the remaining participants leave, Rob frankly asks Charlie why she dumped him.
And then she's like, "Ha ha, I knew it."
Fucking knew it. You are going through a what does it all mean phase.
I don't know if she's like vapid or I think that he's being a little too mean
Yes.
about her. because he's like, oh, I'm so over it now. I know I'm more confident in who I am these days, and I realize that she's the one who's gotten out of acquiescence and shit, and she fucking pegged him. She like,
yeah, I do think because every time we don't actually see what it is that she's saying at the dinner party,
it's very difficult.
It's muted, and we just hear Rob saying, like,
yeah.
Even she's so full of shit and all this stuff.
Yeah, with the subtitles on, like it is catching other people's conversations.
There's bits and pieces, but it's not enough to give us like a clear indication of like if Rob's accurate,
right?
Because I do think we're supposed to like actually suspect that it's just Rob being like, fuck these people kind of thing, you know?
Right? Yeah,
because you're right. She nails him every single time. Mm-hmm. She's 100% right.
Yeah. And then he asks her, I guess this is your next point, but he asks her, why did you leave me for Marco? Yeah. And even then she's fucking dead on, dude. It's like daggers in his heart, you know, but she's correct in every way.
Well, she's frank. She's like, you were too insecure. And no, she doesn't say it that way. No. She says that Marco was sparkier and more full of life and joy. Mm-hmm. But implying that it's because he was too insecure and was always worried about himself and was kind of depressed about it.
Yeah.
Because he was right. Like, if you feel, like if you're exhibiting imposter syndrome, like the best way to get over it is to stop feeling like an imposter. Like you just have to project confidence. Because if you give into it, people are going to start to question it. You have to, it's the trick about confidence.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to have it or pretend like you have it,
right.
And then you'll have it, sort of thing,
Yeah. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I parade around like a professional painter.
Funny.
I know. I'm just fucking around, dude.
So the next day, Barry is unexpectedly invited to join a garage band, to which, Rob and Dick start teasing him because he's had a sign up on the wall about it for years, and no one's ever approached him about it before. But he plays it cool and acts like it's nothing. But then Dick heads off for a date with the Anna girl from earlier.
Everybody's growing.
And now, exactly.
Except for Rob.
Everyone is kind of shocked and amused by this, and Rob watches wistfully as the two leave the store. And he returns home to find Laura inside waiting for him. And she is reading a list of his top 5 dream jobs. She sees this, I think, as an example of his ambition, but like his lost ambition now.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts teasing him that number 5 is architect.
Yeah.
And she starts to push back on it. And he's like, I don't even think I want to be an architect. And she's like, okay, well, don't you think owner of a record store should be number 5 then? And he's like, yeah, okay, fine. And then Rob makes a list to himself of the top 5 things he misses about Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And while working through the list, I think you can see that Rob is appearing to realize how much he actually misses her. This is where I think he starts to come around.
Yeah.
So the next day, Rob finds Dick and Barry listening to a demo tape, and they remark that it's quite good, despite coming from the 2 teenage boys they previously caught stealing from the store.
And I said, who did they sound like? What did the song sound like?
You said it sounds like Jane's Addiction.
Jane's Addiction, yes.
Yeah, kind of does, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of does.
So Rob takes the tape and goes out and approaches the 2 boys and offers to produce and distribute their album on his own record label, which he makes up on the spot. Top 5 Records. After returning to the store triumphant, Rob returns a call from Laura and learns that her father has just died.
Mm-hmm.
Barry and Dick begin composing a list of the best songs about death, while Rob makes plans with Laura to attend the funeral, as his mother wants him to attend. So at the funeral, it's very sad and somber.
Mm-hmm.
I will say John and Joan's actual father, Dick Cusack, plays the preacher in the funeral scene, which I thought was a neat little touch. But Laura is very despondent.
Yeah.
It's a really sad scene because like everyone's at the funeral, you can hear a pin drop, but Laura is just like
sobbing,
openly sobbing. It's so sad. And you can tell Rob feels really awkward. And later, at the wake later, he kind of gets into an argument with his sister because she's trying to talk around him. It's stupid, and he's being very insecure about it.
Yeah. That's he's still like, even at the funeral, it's all about him, man.
I know. But as he starts to storm out, he sees Laura and stops and gives her earnest sympathies and leaves the house and walks out into the rain to wait for a bus. But Rob addresses the camera and reflects that he took her for granted, basically. he was too afraid to commit to her, and this prevented him from seeing his future and ever acting on it and never moving forward with his life. So as he's sitting at this bus stop in the rain, he sees Laura is actually driving around looking for him, and he hops a fence and tries to hide in a yard.
He's laying in mud. It's funny.
He's straight up laying in mud. But she pulls up and calls out to him and tells him that, she wants to give him a ride home. And he's like, no, you should go back to the funeral. You should be with your mom. And she's like, I don't want to go back in there. I'm just going to be sad. I'd rather be with you. So he gets in the car and they go and park at
some place. It's a big tree.
I think it's a park, but it looks like it's just the side of the road. But she's like, my dad used to take me here all the time when I was a kid. And she's like, I don't want to go home because I'm just going to stick my hand in the fire. Like, will you have sex with me? Very weird.
Super
You
weird.
even remarked that you were surprised that Rob was ready to go in the moment, essentially.
Because she's like, I'm glad I wore a skirt, and takes her underwear off, I assume, gets on top of him, and they start doing it. I'm like, yo, he's bricked up already? Like, I know if I was in that situation, sitting in a muddy, cold, wet suit, that would not be the first thing that's on my mind. And he's just like ready to go. And it's weird.
Well, it is a movie, but also I think all of the other circumstances around it are like, really? You want to have sex
right now?
Okay.
That was in the book, apparently?
I don't remember if this is in the book.
That was weird.
Yeah. I'm a little iffy on like the last third of it. Anyway, afterwards, Laura and Rob are chatting and laughing. And Laura tells Rob that she wants to get back together, much to Rob's surprise. Rob explains that the next few weeks are very happy and productive, and their relationship is now everything he ever wanted. However, and you got very mad about this.
I did.
Rob, exasperated himself, explains how a pretty young woman named Caroline came into the store one day, and the two strike up a conversation, and they realize they both know of each other professionally. Rob, she knows him via his DJing, and he knows her through her music column in the local paper. Their conversation is interrupted by a phone call from Laura, and Rob learns that Laura has now organized an album release party for the CD he's producing with the two teenage boys. Their band is called the Kinky Wizards.
That's right.
Barry and his new band are also set to play at this party, which further incenses Rob. So Rob tries talking everyone out of attending the party. Mm-hmm. And they are all baffled by this and rebuff him. And later, Caroline is interviewing Rob over the phone for her column. And Rob, who is clearly infatuated with her, offers to make her a mixtape, which, if you were not of a certain generation, is the... Yeah, that is the clearest sign that someone's into you, that they want to make you a mixtape.
The kids now would be, let me make you a Spotify playlist. That's how you would do it now. That is the
equivalent now.
Yeah.
Is that a real thing that people do, though?
Yeah, that is a real thing people do now, cool. Apparently.
I'm glad that exists in some form.
Yeah, because when he was talking about, like, it's art trying to use other people's poetry to tell...
to express your feelings.
Yeah, express your feelings and whatnot. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, he's kind of fucking right. Like this is a lost art now, in my opinion, because we don't burn CDs, we don't do mixtapes anymore. It's these playlists.
I mixed CDs for people.
I never had the ability
burner.
to, but Haley had made CDs for me when we first started dating, like different techno songs and different like emo songs that like made her think about me, and it was very romantic. And I kind of miss that thing, the physical giving of music to another person.
Yeah.
So, and that's actually how I got most of my music from fucking Mike too. Mike would make me like, hey dude, I know you like this metalcore shit. Here's a bunch of bands I think you'll like. And it's like, yeah, dude, you got me fucking pegged. Good job. It's like you and showing me Martyrs, So it's a lost art.
Well, as he's making this mixtape, Rob realizes he's crushing again. Mm-hmm. And gets mad at himself for thinking about another woman besides Laura again. And after considering it, he goes through a whole spiel where he's like, why does this keep fucking happening, Mm-hmm. But he asks Laura to meet him at a bar one day. And when she meets him, he's sitting there like very pensively, like sitting over a beer. And honestly, it looks like he's about to break up with her.
Yeah, it does.
And you were really mad. And I kept telling you, just watch.
Well, Jared, here's the thing: it's a fucking romantic comedy, and I know he's gonna learn real growth. I understand that, but still, like, he was just making me so mad. Well, when Laura gets there,
he explains that he's thinking that they should get married. And it's not like a big proposal. It's literally just like he kind of mumbles it out.
Yeah.
You know, and she laughs and she's like, well, okay, you were just making a mixtape for another woman the other day. And he's like, I know. But he's like, I'm sick of the fantasy. I'm sick of like thinking about other women and thinking that I would be better off with them because like, it's just a fantasy. It's never actually better. And he's like, I'm tired of being like that. I would rather just stay with you.
This is the grass is always greener kind of thing. Like the other option, because I don't know any of the faults, it's only good. And so that's all I can see is the good of what it could be and whatnot. Not living in realism, not living in reality of there is good and bad in everything. And you have to enjoy the good things. In fact, the good things is what makes the bad things tolerable. And like, this is the only part of the movie where he got me. You know, like I was on his side. No, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious because
it's him having the most growth he ever has.
Yeah,
and he doesn't even put it romantically.
No,
it's more or less just him having like a realization, but not in that eloquent of a way.
Yeah, well,
it's
he's not an eloquent
like,
person.
No, I think he is an eloquent person.
I guess when it comes to his interests.
When it comes to music, yeah, but when it comes to like and complaining about like his relationships. But when it comes to him, like talking about what he likes most about Laura, he kind of falters a little bit, you know, but I think that's the point too, is like, this is where he's weakest at, you know, and it's like, he's not going to have some grand, beautiful, profound statement to say about why he's ready to commit to her. It's more or less, she's just like, yeah, I'm ready. I might as well at this point kind of thing.
Fuck ass.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Like, I think it's totally fine to not like him because he is
a problematic,
aggravating. Yeah, problematic fave, exactly. But yeah, it's his own way of admitting that he's ready to commit to her. And they essentially agree to get married at this. She says, "I do, I will." So later at the Kinky Wizards release party, Rob is DJing and having a great time entertaining the crowd. And then reluctantly introduces Barry's band, Sonic Death Monkey. However, Barry's band takes the stage, and Barry announces that they have changed their name to Kathleen Turner Overdrive. But they kick off a cover of Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On, which earlier in the film, Rob explains is his and Laura's song. Their whole relationship is based on that song, apparently, he says.
And Jack Black does a great rendition.
Yes, and it brings down the house. Now, I will say, Jack Black was the big standout in this film. This really launched his career.
Yeah.
And this scene in particular, like...
Because he can sing.
Yeah, he can really sing.
Yeah.
And he really did this.
Yeah.
And I think I saw an interview with like John or the director, I forget who, that was like, yeah, we really did that scene and like, it did not take that many takes. Like, Jack was ready to go.
Yeah, he was on it.
And he even like handpicked that song. He's like,
no shit.
They had a different song in mind and he's like, no, Let's Get It On. He's like, that's going to end the movie. It's going to be great, you know? And it's great. Yeah, it's fantastic. And you can even see like Rob is kind of like slinking behind Laura when they get up on stage at first.
Yeah, because he thinks it's going to be a fucking nightmare because it's a garage band.
Right. He doesn't have a high opinion of Barry at all.
Yeah.
But as Barry starts singing, you can see Rob kind of perk up.
He's
and
like,
be
holy shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's really fun. It's kind of the magic of this scene that like Jack Black was a little bit of an unknown and was like a shockingly good singer. Like wasn't a famous musician at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously he is now.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Peaches was like a huge hit song just a couple years ago, you know?
Yeah.
But this was 22 years before that, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. It came out in 2023, didn't it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, it was like a star-making moment for him almost. So afterwards, we cut to Rob at home making another mixtape and explaining the rules, which you probably know from the intro of this show. There was a moment where I saw it click in your eyes.
You got to start it off with a killer, and then you got to take it up a notch.
Yeah, and you were like, "Oh my god!"
And then
that's what Jared put in the intro.
It's crazy that Ryan Gosling came out of nowhere and was like, "Cells interlinked." It was crazy.
So Rob starts explaining some of the rules in composing a mixtape before stating that the mixtape is for Laura. Rob sits back in his chair and cranks Stevie Wonder's I Believe as the credits roll.
And Allison starts dancing.
She sure did. So how much did you hate this movie?
That's the thing is like, I didn't hate the movie. I hated the protagonist.
Yeah.
That's it. That's really my fucking gripe. Is like, as I said earlier, you can see that the director had good intentionality with what he was putting in the scenes. Everything is well acted. The soundtrack is good. There is some very funny parts, even laugh out loud funny parts. I don't have any complaints about this film. I just don't like the protagonist because he's a piece of shit.
You're hung up on Rob.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really difficult. Like, I say I rented this movie when I was like 14 or 15 or whatever, right? And I think that I would have come out of it with a different opinion than I would now. So if I watched this back in the day,
more easily would have overlooked his flaws, basically.
Yeah, because he is a teenager, you know, parading around in a 30-year-old's body. So it would have been easier to relate with him. But as a grown ass man now in a long-term relationship, where, you know, you have all of the highs and lows of any kind of relationship, he kills me. It kills me to watch him just be so self-centered, so up his own ass, and like so callous to the people around him. He just sucks, and like it's hard to watch him. Like, I don't want him to have a happy ending. He didn't fucking earn it. He's a piece of shit. You know, Laura's gonna be miserable with him. I don't know if that's actually the case, but like I just don't like him. Yeah. The one scene where he talks about like, yeah, I've been living in a fantasy and I need to stop doing that because that's not reality. And like, yeah, that's some personal growth, but you should have figured that one out a decade ago, bro. Come on, man.
Too little, too late.
No, because here's the thing is you have to believe in redemption of any kind of person. You have to believe in that anybody can grow and they can be better versions of themselves. It's just that I don't get to see him be a better version of himself. Like, yeah, oh, he's making a mixtape for his soon-to-be wife, and that is cute because that is like a very personal thing that he acknowledges. Like, he says it's an art. You have to know the other person like intimately. You have to know what they like, and then you have to also have this knowledge of all these different songs to bring it all together. So that is like one act of kindness in a sea of just fucked up actions by this guy. So yeah, I just don't like the protagonist, and that made the rest of the movie difficult to watch. But I can take that, much like removing the art from the artist, and say like, yeah, this is a good movie. It's competently done in every single aspect. And I mean, it made me hate the main character, which, you know, is not something that a lot of movies will do and still be successul. Like, it made me feel something, which is great. It didn't make me feel sad like most of the movies that I watch, which is also good. But it definitely anger and frustration was the driving emotion last night. And even if I wasn't so fucking tired, I'd probably be even more angry. So, you know, kudos.
I feel like I say this too much, but like,
What's up?
They don't make movies like this anymore.
No, they don't.
Like, take a shot. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get you drunk. But I feel like I say that way too often on the show. But it's true.
I actually don't remember.
That is a big
saying. When was the last one you even said that?
All the time.
Okay.
But I say that because we have the full discretion to handpick the movies we cover.
Right.
We don't really assign ourselves, like, the podcast doesn't really have too much of a underlying theme. We just kind of pick at random what we want to cover.
Yeah, you know? I would say we lean more towards A24 films.
For sure.
You know, but that's like what we like.
But we cover what we want to cover when we want to cover it for the most part. You know what I mean? We don't assign arbitrary, like, we have like a... We're on like a mini series streak, but it's very loose.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Every so often we'll do like a themed month, and that's fun. And, you know, it's fun for us because, hey, this is a whole month about Florida because we live in Florida, and that's always fun. That's a good time. But
because of that, we get to pick movies that I like, you know, or that we like.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I often end up saying that, is because I'm picking movies that I think are better than the majority that are out there, or especially that are coming out now. And I often end up saying they don't make them like this anymore.
It's true.
Anyway, that is to say, I don't think a movie studio would be willing to make a movie like this. Most of our big studios anyway, maybe an A24 or a Neon, would be willing to put out a movie, though, where the main character in a romantic comedy is somewhat unlikable. And like maybe a third of the audience can't get over that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or 50% of this audience.
Yeah.
they would be too afraid. They were like, no, we have to like sand down the rough edges of this character. Like maybe they would cut some of those details that we find out about like either the abortion or the cheating. They would be like, you know what? It's too much. It pushed the audience over the edge. You got to take that out. We want them to be I understand that they're supposed to be kind of a stunted person that's like having to grow, but like that's too much kind of thing.
I can see that. Yeah, I think that circles back to Roger Ebert's review.
Oh, about him feeling like these are people you could meet on the street. Yeah. And they feel smartly written. Yeah. You know what? Roger, in that review from 25 years ago, is saying they don't make them like this.
that is actually
so, yeah,
true.
Even
You're
at
right.
the time, yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything mainstream that I've seen where the main character is just an absolute dickhead. I don't... Like, what even romantic comedies came out last year? Was Stuntman a romantic comedy?
What was that?
Sorry, not Stuntman. The one with Ryan Gosling.
Fall Guy.
Fall Guy, sorry.
I think it's half romantic comedy, half big blockbuster action movie.
Gotcha.
It's kind of that's a 4-quadrant movie. Yeah. They can't just make a romantic comedy anymore.
Right. Well,
there's a reason that like romantic comedies are relinquished to just like the Hallmark Channel. Yeah. Okay, the most recent romantic comedy I can think of is that fucking moon landing one with Channing Tatum.
I just said it, Fly Me to the Moon.
Oh, that's the Fly Me.
Yeah,
okay.
Which I wanted to see.
But again, that's not just romantic comedy.
What else is it?
It is a 2.5-hour movie about people that have to fake a moon landing for NASA, and it's a period piece, and it's a romantic comedy. It's got to hit all the quadrants, okay? You've got to appeal to dad. You got to appeal to mom. You got to appeal to the kids. Mm-hmm. It can't just be, it's about a sad guy that owns a record store thinking about all of his relationships.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, if you think about it, are we about to like talk about how, no, I'm serious here. Are we really about to talk about how capitalism has ruined cinema for everybody, because all of these studios, these big studios, have to keep constantly making big blockbuster after big blockbuster, $150 to $250 million movies, and they're constantly flopping because nothing is a blockbuster anymore. It's so exhausting. Is that really what the conversation we're having right now?
I mean, you just said it, brother.
Okay, I didn't know if this is where that was going.
We're not like repeating ourselves, I hope, right?
No,
have we said this before. I think in conversation we've kind of.
The reason why I'm saying that is because I've been trying to detox from political stuff on that I listen to, and so what's my next big interest? Yeah. It's fucking movies. Like I barely play video games anymore. I've been playing Marvel Rivals. That's not a video game. That's just a time sink. It is very fun though. So I've been listening.
A Chinese money drain is what that is.
Hey, look, they got $10 out of me. It is what it is. About the battle pass, whatever, dude.
And yet you refuse to play Fortnite. Why?
You literally play Fortnite. You cannot fucking judge
I know,
me.
but I don't have some kind of like I will never install that kind of like mentality about it. Even though like one of your favorite properties like is canonized Fortnite.
What was it?
Star Wars.
Oh, shut up. Shut up.
If you don't like watch that Emperor thing, you don't understand.
No.
Like
I already knew. Shut up. Anyways, what I was getting at was so I listen to a lot more visual media stuff now, things about movies, right? And this guy has a series on the biggest flops of whatever year, right? Yeah. He did a 2023 one I haven't really watched, but he talked about last year. And he was like, all of the big successful films of last year were sequels or based on an existing property. Yeah. But all of the flops last year were also kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Like The Crow was one of them.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Joker, Folie à Deux was one of them. Trying to think of what else came out last year that was like really fucking bad, that tanked. That was also... It doesn't really matter. But he came to a point of like, it is so exhausting how every single fucking movie that came out last year was $150 to $250 million. Megalopolis was another one that fucking flopped last year. And it's like, how do these studios feel like they can make... I know Megalopolis is its own beast.
I would quibble with that because that is
his
passion project.
I know nobody really lost a movie except for what's his name. I understand, but it is a big flop. Like,
I almost want more movies like that.
Oh, I do too.
You know,
it was
okay.
beautiful in its.
Because like I don't want to lump that in with what we're complaining about.
No.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm just like saying like that. I was thinking about other movies that flopped, and Megalopolis was one of them.
Okay,
but
okay.
regardless, it didn't lose anybody money except for Francis Ford Coppola. And hey, it's the movie he wanted to make. But what I was getting at is,
I don't know if I like it, but like,
Yeah,
I'm glad it exists.
yeah, same. But what he was getting at is like it is exhausting for the moviegoer to want to see the next blockbuster that comes out every fucking week, and these studios really do need to learn that they can't do this surefire thing of sequels and put a shit ton of money in them and them be bad, and they can't not just make these big expensive films because that's the standard now. They have to find some sort of balance, and I don't know if that's going to ever happen. And then when you look at these smaller studios that are making these more intimate, lower budget films like A24 and Neon, and I think there's like a couple other ones that they do really good jobs. It's like I prefer
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse, but I don't prefer Blumhouse.
It's not a quality thing.
No,
it's more
but
of like, okay, you only get $5 million.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
But like, I prefer those weirdo films.
Yeah.
Because like, at least I know that they're trying.
Yeah.
You know. And it's
they have such a good track record at this point that you're like, oh, it's like a 8 out of 10 chance I'm going to like this, or at least be impressed by it.
Yeah. So what's your take on that?
No, I mostly agree with you, but like as I'm thinking, I want to say too, the video game space is having this exact same problem.
I know,
and it's going to consume itself.
Yeah,
and for a slightly different reason, because video games are too eagerly chasing the title of this movie, High Fidelity, graphical quality.
Yeah.
And it is in large part because of the audience. The audience expects like bigger, better, more beautiful graphics, which take unfathomable amounts of money and man hours to produce.
I blame you, Crisis. Was it Crisis? What was the name of that?
Oh, yeah. Crisis is part of it. Sure. BioShock, Crisis, all of like the big hits that were like, benchmark setters at their time. You know? But what people have been saying for years is like, we need more, AA instead of AAA. In the gaming space, if you're unaware, AAA games refer to like the huge, big budget, like tentpole.
Yeah, like Call of Duty.
Like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto and Assassin's Creed. Whereas like a AA game would be a game that didn't take hundreds of millions of dollars to develop. And
indie games are thriving.
Indie games, yes, but it's such an attention limited market that like, yes, there are indie games that make millions of dollars, right? That like, one guy with like some contractors worked on for like just a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
But 80% of games that come out on Steam never get played.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. It's like crazy, weird statistics like that, where it's like, yeah, the indie game space is bigger than it ever was, but only like 10% of them are actually popular. It's because it's such an attention-starved market. People can only read and think and play so many things. Like gaming journalism is dead.
Yeah.
There's only like 20 some odd gaming journalists like left. The rest are all like bloggers and podcasters, unfortunately.
Yeah, Game Informer died. IGN's still around, but not for
it's
long.
A shell of itself.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah, Polygon is kicking in there, but
Kotaku's still around.
Yeah, but even they had to give in to their corporate overlords and focus on things that aren't journalistic, you could argue.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, anyone can put out an indie game now, but no one's going to play it. It's a very tricky thing. And like sometimes they hit off like Balatro, but for every Balatro, there's like 30 games that somebody made and put a lot of passion into.
That's never going to see the sunlight.
Never going to get played. A perfect example is like Arco. It was this big turn-based like RPG that's like anti-imperialist, anti-colonial,
Oh, really? Okay.
But it was a big passion project made by some very talented indie devs. Didn't make anyone's top 10 list. Didn't break into the big Steam sellers. That studio might go under. And this happens all the time. And even big studios are laying people off all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They made a Sword of Mana sequel last year. Did you know that?
I don't even know what Sword of Mana is.
Oh, it was a really big Super Nintendo RPG that people love.
Okay.
I think it's called Visions of Mana.
Okay.
As the game released, Square laid off the studio.
There's a big Concord failure from last year.
Oh, yeah. Sony's Concord, a very infamous thing. Go read about that. Sony spent, was it hundreds of millions of dollars on that? And it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
They just, after 2 weeks, they pulled it and then laid everybody off. The game, you can't even play the game anymore. They just pulled it. It's so weird. But yeah, so and a lot of the companies now are transitioning to like these free-to-play models, like your Marvel Rivals, like your Fortnite, because they make so much money.
Off of battle passes, skins, cosmetics.
Right. And they don't have to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into what is a single-player game that people maybe play for 10, 20 hours and then drop and move on. You can build an going universe where you just add, maybe a couple hours of content every few weeks, or just drop in a bunch of skins and cosmetics and things that people will, throw money at.
Yeah.
Which don't take that much development time, and you're just pumping money, you're printing money, and everybody wants to do collabs and you're on every platform and you're just raking in the money. But again, everybody wants to do that. And so the space gets crowded. This is why Concord failed. This is why Overwatch is failing.
Yep.
And they all just start consuming. It's like a snake eating its own tail, the Ouroboros. It's it's just consuming itself. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about how because the incentive is money and not art.
Bigger, bigger, bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. The capitalism of it all, where everything has to be bigger and better. Studios are so short-sighted about this, and they only want to do the same properties over and over. Everything's a remake or a Lego sequel.
And you know what, Jared? That's the unfortunate thing too, is because like some of them are really good.
Yeah,
Doom
even
2 and Furiosa.
Yeah,
come
also
to mind.
a flop. Doom 2 made buku bucks. Furiosa, I think,
nothing.
flopped.
Yeah.
But two movies I loved are going to be on my top 10 list. I'm pretty sure.
I don't want to spoil it, but yes,
actually,
same
this
here.
is going to air after that. So yeah, they're probably
okay. Yeah,
we're recording this out of order.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but yeah, like and I had this conversation with my fucking mother-in-law, which is crazy.
Oh wow.
But, she posed a question: why is it that Disney is failing? She feels like Disney is failing, and not to out her, but she's comes from a conservative mindset. So she's thinking, oh, it's DEI. And
I was going to say they're not actually failing; they're making tons of money.
No, I understand, but they have had failures. Like a lot of them recently. Wish was not a good film and did not make any money. They instead of making the Moana thing a sequel and making it into a TV show, which was its original purpose, they were like, we need $1 billion right fucking now. Let's just hack this thing apart and make it into a movie. It's apparently the movie is mid as fuck, but it made $1 grillion. Yeah. Pixar came out last year talking about how they're going to do less personalized stories and less original properties and focus more on sequels.
Yep.
And like, I loved Inside Out too. I thought it was a fantastic sequel to the first one. It wasn't nearly as good, but it was good. It was the best Disney movie I saw last year. But like, we're going to get more of, I hope we're going to get more of that instead of more Cars and, sequels to properties that just don't fucking matter, don't have the same punch,
Feel more soulless. Maybe.
Exactly. And so she asked me, it's like, why do you think that they're suffering so much? And I straight up told her, I was like, the incentive is to gain capital and not to tell, the story comes second.
Yeah.
And
they're not making art for art's sake.
Exactly. And she's flabbergasted. But like, well, don't you think that earning money is the incentive to make creativity
for labor?
Yeah. It was something like that. She was like, well, shouldn't money, or shouldn't the studios that care about their bottom line foster creativity? To which I countered, no. And I gave her the story about the Disney Renaissance in the 90s and how the two guys who are responsible for it, they kept making movies because they wanted to make their passion project, which was Treasure Planet. That's what they wanted to make. The Jules Verne fucking Treasure Planet or Treasure Island, but with the sci-fi veneer on it, right? That's what they wanted to make. Yeah. And so was it Katzenberg, I believe, is Eisner. Mike Eisner was the CEO at the time. Katzenberg was on Universal, and he strung them along. he was like, okay, make me this, make me the Little Mermaid.
He was pulling like a one for you, one for them kind of thing.
Yeah, except it was 5 or 6 for me. And then when I let you make your one, I advertise it poorly, and I have created a system where the parents who don't want to take their brat to the movie theater, me included at the time, would rather wait until the holiday season and just buy the VHS instead. And that's what happened to that film. It was a fucking financial nightmare. They didn't make another animated film until Princess and the Frog, and that was the last hand animated movie that they did.
Yeah,
and it's a fucking travesty.
A movie that they really love to tout, to be like, look, we made an inclusive, diverse film.
Yeah,
we
where
have
she's a
black
fucking
princess.
frog the most of the time. And I'll stand by that film. I like that film. I do like that movie. But here's the thing: is I'm a sucker for kids animation. And you probably already know this because the top 5 thing already came out. I've got 2 kids animation things on my top 5. But anyways, so when you go from these beautiful pieces of art that have excellent songs in them, basically my childhood, and you stray away from that because that's too fucking expensive. You can't make money off of those, apparently. That kills creativity. And now you're at this point 20 to 30 years later, and you're remaking these films in live action and CGI because you fucking can, and because realism, for whatever reason, is trumping fantasy. And it's still cheaper to make those than it is the hand animated things. Come the fuck on, man. Mm-hmm. It is craven and it is soulless, and it is because they are valuing the dollar over telling a good story. And I guess that's the reason why I'm like so far up DreamWorks' ass right now, because 2023's Puss in Boots was a feast for the eyes. It was great. Even though it's CGI crap, like I'd much rather, it would be really cool to see that in hand-drawn animation, but I know that form's dead and I'm never going to get that back. But like, making it stylistic and also telling a great story. The Wild Robot, making it look beautiful and telling a great story, even with all of the faults that Sony has had, the Spider-Man movies have been fantastic. Mitchell's versus the Machines, fantastic. Like Phil and Lord are great creatives, and whomever they have in their studio that does their art design is fantastic. And I want more of that. Even like that fucking League of Legends show Arcane on Netflix. What an incredible story, incredible animation, and that show lost money too. Like it was $250 to make that fucking thing.
Oh yeah, I think I saw this article.
But it's like, dog, it's so beautiful, and it is a shame to hear that creative things are not making money, because it means that there's less of a chance that we get more of that. What were you gonna say?
Well, I feel like, and I think the point of the article was like the creators behind that Arcane show.
Yeah,
like.
It's a French studio.
They were in it for the artistry. They wanted to tell a story. It wasn't that they were like, we're adapting a League of Legends property, we're going to expand the IP and the portfolio. Like they didn't give a shit about that.
Right.
And that's why they were like, let's throw as much money at this as we can. But I feel like the profit incentive in art sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And a lot of great art has been made for profit, but we're in this late stage capitalism, to the point where times are so tough for everybody.
Yeah.
Like everyone's so focused on making money.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can't just make art for art's sake,
And they're trying to replace artists.
Yeah. Oh my God. We can't even touch on that.
I know.
We can't touch on that.
I know.
We'll be here another 3 hours.
I know. I'm sorry.
What happened to like public funded arts, and like public media sorts of things, or just people that were able to survive on like it's been replaced with like Patreon and Ko-Fi or Coffee and OnlyFans and all of this, Fansly and all this stuff, where people can actually make revenue by just doing what they want to do, but that used to be a thing before, you didn't have to to work 3 jobs, and like struggle to maintain in the gig economy where every single thing you do is like
you monetize it, to
be monetized. Yeah, exactly. Like even the show, like we make no money off of it, but my fantasy is like eventually we can make some money off of it.
Yeah, we do a fucking ad read for the damn cereal thing
for some boner pills or something. And
we do hims and hers.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, finally, like we can like help pay some bills with this show that we're doing.
Yeah.
But like, for the last 2 years, we're doing it for the sake of doing it. Like
because we love talking about film.
Right. And I was like, we've been sitting around like doing this anyway for free. We might as well like put it out there so that other people can listen to it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make a buck off of it one
Maybe
day.
they'll have a conversation with us.
Yeah.
Jared, honestly, dude, I do this because A, I like talking to you about movies, and B, the 1 or 2 or 7 fans that do listen to the show that, I'm friends with in real life that want to discuss movies.
Yeah.
It makes it fun. I love it when, I go on a trip and I come back home and my wife has listened to 3 of our episodes and we want to, talk about the movies and shit. Like she wants to see Snowpiercer again. I'm like, absolutely. I'll watch Snowpiercer any fucking time with you because I love that movie. And so like those have been the nice things. I don't like, even if this did become monetized, like I don't want to cut, dude. You do all the fucking work,
Well, yeah. Well, this is a great outlet. What I'm saying is like, even I am not immune to this pressure though.
Right.
Like none of us are unless you're independently wealthy, essentially.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, but how can I monetize my hobby or creative outlet sort of thing?
I got to make money off of this. I really want to.
I got to figure out how to make money off of this thing.
It's a great idea.
Tim, what's his last name?
Tim Robinson.
Tim Robbins. I always get him mixed up with, Robin's son.
Yeah.
I always get those two mixed up. The man really speaks to our times.
It does, dude.
We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
Mm-hmm. How did they, what did they do to us?
Did these fuckers ever just start jizzing out of the fucking walls?
Okay, all right. We're hitting the wall. Hitting the wall. Right. Hey, if you hate the way that movies are right now, where everything's a fucking sequel, dude, go find something that's not a fucking sequel that piques your interest and go see that movie 5 times. Throw all of your fucking money at it if you can to show people that you really like it. Like I wish I could make more time to go see a lot of the more of these movies in theaters. Yeah. Like it is a fucking shame.
Can I make a suggestion? And we don't even have to make it an episode, so you don't have like an exterior motive to do it.
What's up?
Ulterior motive. Mad God, the Phil Tippett movie.
What the fuck is that? I've never seen that.
It is a passion project of Phil Tippett. Phil Tippett is a special effects artist that did like the miniatures.
Oh wait, you're talking about the guy that did the Shutter movie. I've always wanted to see that.
That's it.
Yeah,
Mad
I want to
God.
watch that.
He made this like in his basement or something.
Yeah, for
like
years,
20 years.
like 50. Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to watch that with you.
Let's do it
and see what you think about it.
Let's do it. Let's do not another theme month, but I would like to do. Let's do that,
like a passion project.
That and Megalopolis. I want to talk about Megalopolis so fucking bad, Jared. It is the most interesting movie of last year, and I hated it.
This is a great idea.
Yeah, not to bury the lead here.
You know what I think would be a great pairing with Megalopolis?
What's that?
Southland Tales.
Sure, whatever. I don't know what that is, but fuck it, let's do it.
It's by the guy who made Donnie Darko.
Oh, okay.
And it was such a massive financial disappointment and artistic disappointment.
Yeah.
That The Rock refused to ever do a weird movie again.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. I fuck with it, dude. I do. Like, it would be cool. Let's do Mad God, that, and Megalopolis. We can have an example of a good film, a bad film, and something that lands in between those two.
Holy shit, this is a great idea.
Yeah, I know it's a great idea. I don't know if any of this is staying in, but I've been trying to get you to watch that. Did you watch Megalopolis?
No, not yet.
I've been trying to get you to watch that.
It's on my Plex.
I know it is. That's where I watched it.
Where else?
Bro, I no shit. I remember when you were like, yeah, he sold his vineyard to fund this movie. And I thought that was the most fucking interesting thing ever. And then I got suggested 2 video essays about Francis Ford Coppola, one about Megalopolis and one about like him as a creator. And he is just so interesting. He's so interesting.
He's made some of the greatest movies.
And some of the worst movies.
Yeah.
And it's
crazy.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
You know, Nick Cage is like his nephew.
No, I didn't. I forgot you. Yeah, I forgot
he
about
changed
that.
His last name was Coppola, and he changed it so that people wouldn't accuse him of thinking he's a Nepo baby.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so it would be good to watch these. Like I remember I watched those things. You put the thing on Plex, and I was like, "Fuck it! I've got a whole ass afternoon where my wife and son are not in this house. I'm watching this fucking movie.
What is that like?
There are things that I really liked and things I fucking hated, and I'm so conflicted about that film.
I've been trying to find time to watch The Brutalist for like the last month.
Ooh, okay.
And it's like a 3.5 hour movie, and I'm like, I'm never gonna have time to watch this
I want to
movie.
watch that too. Oh, dude, I just stay up late. I stay up till 2 a.m.
And see, but you're miserable, aren't you?
Of course, I'm a miserable person though, so it's not anything out of the norm.
Because I force myself to go to bed by midnight now, and I'm like, well, I got to be up with the baby by like 7 or 8 anyway,
Right.
so I should just go to bed at a normal time and not be insane. However, if I'm in the middle of like a really good video game, I'll stay up. I'll stay up till like 1 sometimes.
Yeah,
and I'll feel like absolute dog shit the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, we really went off on a tangent. That was fun,
dude. The moment that you're like, oh, they don't make this anymore, it's like, yeah, you're fucking right, because the incentive is money and not storytelling. It's such a fucking travesty. Like, I don't mean to go off again, but if I've learned anything from last year, going to fucking the damn Disney parks every goddamn week, it's because this is from Epcot. Human beings at their fucking core are storytellers. That's what we do. Like, from the earliest cave.
Okay, Joseph Campbell.
I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
He wrote the book about like mythology and like.
Oh God, that's not what I'm getting at.
George Lucas like based Star Wars off of like his principles of mythology and stuff. Yeah.
Anyways, from the earliest cave paintings to creating paper to writing books, we as creatures want to tell stories of either our experiences or to work out problems or to, explain the unexplainable around us. We want to tell stories. And then when you take and put a profit behind it, you ruin the storytelling process. I bet you that was my phone.
It was you. Yeah.
You ruin the storytelling process and you make it into a mockery of what it was. And I cannot.
Or you at least skew it in ways that can denigrate it.
You aren't willing to go as far as you possibly could because it could hurt the bottom line, and that's fucked.
Yeah.
That's fucked, and I don't like that. And I don't know if I'm going to live to see the day where that changes. But as of right now, it would be really cool to like shut my body off for 5 years, 5, 10, 15 years, and come back to it all and see where we're at.
Well, on that note, well, folks, that's been our show. Thank you for listening to Debaser. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your podcast app and follow us on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. My wonderful co-host is Will. Will, do you want to plug anything, or you just want to do the @pocket_infinity?
Yeah, pocket_infinity on Instagram, although let's see how long that even lasts, because Meta's kind of a piece of shit. I will like to
eat shit, Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I'd like to toot my own horn. I have been off of drinking energy drinks for when this airs, probably like a month and a half now. If you don't know me, I've been addicted to those things since I was 14, so this is a big step in the right direction to, I don't know, take care of myself.
Did you see a cardiologist and get scared, or
no?
Okay.
I realized that part of what was making me depressed is lack of sleep, and lack of sleep comes from drinking these caffeinated monstrosities like 2 or every day. Yeah, I was addicted to them, and I had to stop.
Yeah. I think it's fine if you drink coffee.
Yeah,
and just don't overdo it. Like just 1 or 2 cups a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because like going cold turkey is obviously going to be hard.
It has been.
And this is the thing that I think it's important to talk about, because a lot of people deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
But like even I am so sensitive to caffeine that like I can't have that much. I did make you a cup when you came over, and I feel like we wouldn't have talked this long if it didn't.
No, I'm up.
You feel good?
Yeah, I feel good, dude.
But like, is it the same buzz you feel with an energy drink?
Well, that's the funny thing is like I sometimes I wouldn't feel anything. And sometimes I feel very peppy.
You're probably so used to it is the thing. Yeah. Because when I drank a lot of coffee, and even strong coffee, I would buzz so long.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized like, oh, it's also making me anxious, because if I'm not expending all of that energy, it's just building up inside of me. And then I
makes your brain think faster, and you start getting more and more.
I get so anxious, I start having panic attacks.
Yeah. I haven't had anything like that, but definitely like staying up really late and contemplating the universe. Like, I don't need to be doing that shit.
That's exactly what that contributes to. Yeah, that's why you got to be careful.
Yeah.
All that is to say, hey, chill out, drink a cup of coffee. On that note, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Debaser is hosted and produced by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? Send it to debaserpod@gmail.com. Want to help us out? Please leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening, and take care out there.